Hello and welcome to DFS Coach Talk. Today is Saturday, November the 6th, 2021. I am Joe Sarvati, affectionately known as Coach, and I am joined by the one and only Josh Crash Davis to talk about this NBA Saturday 5-game main slate. How are you on this wonderful Saturday morning? Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday morning. I'm doing good. Last night was a little bit rough for my Bucks. They kind of ran into a buzzsaw there in the second half, so not quite sure what happened. They were rolling in the first half, and then they just kind of lost it.
Yeah, long seasons, back to the 82, game season. I think it's going to take everybody a while to try to keep the consistency going. It's a long season. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
So I'm excited because I was able to get right at the last couple of buckets. I wanted to keep my 300 plus streak going. So I'm at 5 days now of keeping that number alive on FanDuel. So that's a cool thing. We were able to cash some tickets for our members. We had some good 50-50 double ups, cash games, and even snuck in the GPP line in some of the other contests. So hopefully we keep the streak alive today and keep it going throughout the entire weekend. The nice thing is, for me, I like lots of games. You know how it is. If there's more games, the better. But today we're dealing with that sweet spot for a lot of people, which is 5 games on the main slate. What do you think about the shorter slate for us here on this Saturday?
Yeah, I like the main slates that are shorter like this. I think, I was talking to Andrew about this last night. I didn't play very many cash games last night because on those bigger slates, the cash line is usually so high. So it's been my experience that it's been, more difficult to cash on those kind of slates. So these smaller slates, it's usually a little bit easier for your cash games.
Well, we're going to dive into this sucker and try to get everybody set. So, in fact, you got the memo. We've got the matching Coach Talk black shirts and gray hats today. Dirk forgot his hat. That's his fault, but we're in good shape. So what I'll do is I'll just give the lay of the land of the game, lines, injuries, a couple of statistics that we pull all that together for our listeners, and then let you break down the game from there, and then I'll respond. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit the thumbs up, the subscribe button if you haven't already subscribed, and give us a quick little comment. Enjoyed the pod, didn't enjoy the pod, whatever. That really helps us grow in the algorithm, excuse me, on YouTube and get us there where we need to. So we would appreciate that. All right. Game 1, here we go. It is a 7:30 game, so we have an extra 30 minutes today, Josh, to get those lineups ready. It's 7:30 Eastern. It's the Utah Jazz versus the Miami Heat. Miami is favored by 4. It's a 213.5 over-under. You have an implied total for the Jazz of 104.75 and an implied total for Miami of 108.75. As far as the records go, Jazz at a stellar 7-1, and the Miami Heat 6-2. So 2 solid teams, 2 of the better teams out of the gate this season, facing off in Miami. As far as injuries go, it's a very, very important news for Utah on 2 fronts, really. Donovan Mitchell, who's questionable. We need to see what the situation is there. This is the first night of a back-to-back for Utah, so that could be part of the reason. The other thing is Royce O'Neal is questionable, and he is the quarterback of the defense for sure and would definitely get that assignment on Jimmy Butler. So those are 2 pieces of news that we need to know. Rudy Gay is already listed as out. We have Kyle Lowry as questionable. He tweaked his ankle in that last game. And then as far as probable, KZ Okpala, and then out still is Oladipo and Max Strus. A couple of stats here, and then I'll turn it to you for the breakdown. As far as pace goes, very interesting here. Utah's 11th, so they're playing better than half the league faster than normal, which is very surprising. They're usually a little bit slower. And Miami down where they usually are, 27th. So they are half-court defense, grind it out, beat you up. And here's the problem I have with this game, Crash. Utah's 4th in the league defensive efficiency. Miami is 2nd. So I know we've got a great game here, talented teams, but not the fastest pace and really strong defense. Does that scare you from this game?
Yeah, that was the first note that I have here, was about how these are the top 2 teams in fantasy points allowed overall. So to all positions, these are the top 2 teams defensively. Yeah. And like you said, you've got Donovan Mitchell and Royce O'Neal questionable. So if they don't play, then, we could be looking at this game getting out of hand a little bit. Miami's been really good this year, and they definitely have the scorers capable of putting this game away if Utah struggles to score. So I do like, on the Utah side, I do like Bojan Bogdanovic. He's 5,500 on FanDuel, 5,300 on DraftKings. Miami's been a little bit weaker against the small forward and power forward positions. They've allowed the fewest fantasy points to centers, so I don't want to play Rudy Gobert today. And then on the Miami side, Utah is 25th against power forwards. Bam Adebayo is 8,600 on FanDuel, 8,200 on DraftKings, and he averaged about 44 DraftKings points against Utah last year. So those would be the plays for me, would be Bam Adebayo for Miami and Bojan Bogdanovic for Utah, because I'm not looking to get too many guys from this game.
Yeah, I'm going to, maybe a one-off here. I mean, we're at a 5-game slate. If this was a 10-game slate, it could be a full pass here. But yeah. I think the news, it's all news dependent for me. If Mitchell and O'Neal sit, that opens up a lot of usage, mainly because of Mitchell. O'Neal doesn't have that much usage. But what it does is it opens up the opportunity for Jordan Clarkson, I think, because at 5.6, he was in a hellacious slump there. He literally missed like 23s in a row in games, but he's broken out now. He's had, a little success. He's seen the ball go through. And at 5.6, a lot of that usage needs to go somewhere. And that's usually where it goes when Mitchell's out, because Conley is a decent play, I think, at 6.6, only if Mitchell sits. And I do sort of like Bogdanovic as well at 5.3. So either Conley, Bogdanovic, or Clarkson, definitely going to play one of them if Mitchell sits. I think it's a no-brainer. But I'm with you. I don't want to go Gobert against the good interior defense of Miami. On the Miami side, Bam at 8.2 is a really interesting look there. I mean, Gobert does a lot of stuff at the basket in the paint, but Bam's mid-range jumper is solid. He's so much quicker than Rudy. I think he can have a good game here. And Miami's ticked off. They're coming off a loss where they just didn't play very well. And if I do go Bam, then I will not go Jimmy Butler. But if I don't go Bam, Butler's in play for me. I know, Utah's defense, etc. But he's 9.5, which is a lot. But it's a 5-game slate. And it looks like Lowry might not play. So we need to follow that news, because here's my stick with me on this, because it gets confusing. So here's the way I look at it. And it's interesting. But if Butler is playing and Bam's playing, which they will, I'm comfortable going with one or the other. But it all changes. If Kyle Lowry sits for me, then I'm going to forego Butler and Bam, and I'm going to go to Tyler Hero. And the reason is minutes, usage, shot attempts. Yeah. And I just think it changes the dynamics there. Hero's a shooter, a score first guard, and he's been on fire. But when Lowry's in there, he's going to play make. He's not overwhelmed. He's only going to get open shots, and ones that he wants. He's going to be cautious, and he's going to look for Butler and Bam. So it's a news-dependent game for me, Josh.
Yeah. No, I like it. I think that Jimmy Butler is definitely, he's been on fire lately, so definitely in play.
Wish he was just like $500 cheaper, but
I know.
All right, game 2. It is. Let's see. No, I guess we don't have the extra half an hour. That it says 7 o'clock for Sixers Bulls. So they're out of order on my sheet here on, but there's 7 o'clock game after all. It's the Sixers and the Bulls, and don't get that extra time. It's the Chicago minus 3.5, 211.5 over under, implied for Philly 104, for Chicago 107.5. We've got Philadelphia. Now, wait a minute. I'm showing 8 Eastern on one site and 7 Eastern on the other. Do you have a time for Philly, Chicago? What's that?
I'm looking it up right now.
Yeah, because it has the two sites have 2 different times.
Looks like 7 o'clock Central. So 8 Eastern.
8 Eastern. Okay, so we do get the extra half an hour. Just one of the sites has it marked wrong. No problem. All right, so 8 Eastern. Philly is 7-2, Chicago 6-2. So 2 games in a row here to start off the main slate with really arguably the 4 strongest teams out of the gate.
Mm-hmm.
So this will be a fun game to watch as well. You've got injuries, though. Green, Korkmaz, questionable. Harris is out, which is big.
Yeah.
Joe, Riller, and Simmons. So Philly has been banged up. And then on Chicago side, same 2 guys, Kobe White, Patrick Williams out. So as far as statistically, Philadelphia is the slowest team in the league, dead last. So they are playing bully ball with Embiid at the rim. So that doesn't make it very comfortable for a DFS stack here by any stretch. I don't recommend stacks in NBA anyway. Chicago's 21st, so not great. They're both in the top half in defense, though, Crash, so that hurts us too. Philly 14th and Chicago 7th. Chicago's really off to a fine start. So, again, a great game, 2 early games that I want to watch, 2 really good teams, but I'm not sure they're the best DFS plays.
Yeah, I'm with you. The one value play I like for Philadelphia is Thibault. Especially if Danny Green and Korkmaz are out, he's 4,500 on FanDuel. He's only 3,900 on DraftKings, so that's a nice value play there under 4K. And then Joel Embiid, the Bulls are pretty good against centers. They're ranked 6th, but he's 9,300 on FanDuel. He's 10-3 on DraftKings. I don't want to pay 10-3 for him, but I think it's a little bit more doable on FanDuel. And he had about 44 fantasy points against them earlier in their matchup last week. So it's a decent play, especially if those other guys are out and the usage is going to go to Embiid. So you could look at Embiid, and then for value, I like Thibault, and that's about it on the Philly side.
Yeah. Well, how about the Bulls?
For the Bulls, one of my top plays on the whole slate is DeMar DeRozan, 8,400 on FanDuel, 8,300 on DraftKings. He had 37 points, real points, against Chicago last week. He scored 30-plus points in 3 straight games, and Philadelphia is towards the bottom statistically against shooting guards. So I do like DeMar DeRozan. For value, especially on DraftKings, he's only 3,900. I like Alex Caruso. He's been playing just under 30 minutes a game. He's averaging just under 23 fantasy points a game. So like the value play there with Caruso.
Yeah, not bad. For me, I watched Embiid this last game. I had faded him at the last second, and I was happy. He did fine like he normally does. He just didn't look like the dominant Embiid,
Yeah.
Have you watched him play much lately?
Oh yeah, he's like that. He'll have those dominant games, and then he just kind of like, it's almost like, I don't know that he's not interested, but it's like he's not giving it his all,
I think, here's my theory anyway. I think that the Simmons thing has distracted him, and it's agitated him. I mean, he's come out in the press a few times talking about it.
Yeah.
And secondly, I think he's just not 100%. I think he's a little dinged up. That's why he's been questionable some of these games. I'm just not sold on the 10-3 Embiid. Again, yeah, he can break any slate, but until I see him, I want to see the Embiid that's stretching out, all
Right.
that, you know how the sweat just pours off his beard and
Yeah.
he's just at the foul line constantly and hustling. He just seems like he's not pushing as hard as he usually does. And I'm just not liking it. So at 10.3, I'm going to pass on him, but
Yeah,
he's super dangerous. No question about it.
for sure.
A little concerned about all the Philly guards in the mix now. Shake Milton back with no restrictions. Maxey had a decent game, but he's been inconsistent. Curry can make 5 threes in like 5 minutes, but then he disappears for time. So Korkmaz has been decent when he's in there, but he's questionable. So not really excited about the Philly side of the ball here. I mean, Tobias Harris is a big piece of this team. So when he's down, it's very tempting to want to put somebody in there, and I do want to, it makes you want to play Embiid, but if not, do you go to one of those other guys that I mentioned?
Yeah.
I mean, Maxey at 5'9", to be south of 6K and be the main point guard for a team is, it's interesting, and I will consider it, but I'm not doing somersaults on this Philly side. On the Chicago side, I'm with you. I like DeMar DeRozan. He's 8-3. He's in a zone right now. He's in a groove. He's torched them last time. And, I just think that price is still considered mid-level.
Yeah.
I think he is a playable commodity. No interest in Vuk with Embiid playing. Levine's a little overpriced, and so is Lonzo Ball. So, it's crazy with these 2 first games I love. I may only come out with like 2 guys from these 2 early games.
Yeah, that's what led me to, you're talking about Lonzo Ball. That's what led me to Alex Caruso. Was he's putting up not much less fantasy points than Ball, and he's $2,000 or more on DraftKings cheaper. So,
well, there's 3 games remaining, and my interest is definitely higher in these 3 games than the first 2 games. Not
especially this next one.
Better games. Just better DFS plays,
Yeah.
All right. You ready for the next one?
I'm ready.
Boston Celtics, Dallas Mavericks. It's this one's listed at 7:30 Eastern. I want to make sure that's right because it seems like they have these times all jacked up. No, it's an 8:30 Eastern game. So I've got to adjust that on for some reason the time is off, but maybe they're already daylight savings a day early. They forgot.
I don't know. That's wild.
Weird. 8:30.
8:30 Eastern. Yep.
Dallas minus 4.5, 215.5 over under, 105.5 implied for Boston, 110 for Dallas. Interesting game for sure. As far as the injuries go, Softy Porzingis is questionable for the rest of his career, in my opinion. Reggie Bullock, probable. Maxi Kleber out, which is really hurting the Mavericks. And then for Boston, you've got Josh Richardson, probable. And here's the big news, Jaylen Brown out. Now, usually, that's the old theory that worked a lot last year when Brown's out, play Tatum. But Tatum is shooting the ball at percentages that we have not seen in a while. So before I turn it over to you, as far as from the stats side, pace Boston 23rd, Dallas 18th. So both below average. That doesn't help. And just completely mid-level defenses, Boston 12, Dallas 17. So I don't know. I mean, there's certainly some good plays here. But how strong are you feeling about this game?
It's hard to say without Jaylen Brown out there how it's going to go. That usage is going to go to primarily Tatum, you would think, but like you said, he's been struggling to score. He had pretty good success. He played against Dallas twice last year. He averaged about 46 DraftKings points a game. But at 95 and 9,600, I'm not sure I want to go there. The main play that I like for Boston is Al Horford. He's 7,600 on FanDuel and DraftKings. Dallas has allowed the 3rd most fantasy points to centers. And, he's averaging over 40 DraftKings points a game. So I definitely like Al Horford. And then if you wanted to go for value at center, you could look at Robert Williams, but Horford would be my main play for Boston. And then on the Dallas side, like you said, Porzingis is questionable. Luka 10-2 on FanDuel, 10-7 on DraftKings, but Boston's about middle of the pack against point guards, and he averaged almost 60 DraftKings points against them in 2 games last year. So I do like Luka. I also like Jalen Brunson for some value, 5,200 on FanDuel, 5,600 on DraftKings. If Porzingis plays, you could look at him. He's 7,000 on FanDuel, 7,500 on DraftKings. Boston is 26th against power forwards. So that could be a decent play there around that mid-range. And then Dwight Powell, value here, 3,600 on DraftKings if Porzingis is out. But really just want to look at Luka and Brunson, I think.
Yeah, this is a tough one. I think Luka's going to get some Marcus Smart harassment. He may even get some Jason Tatum. They'll switch it up on him. They also may run some blitzes at him, make him give up the ball. But it's a tough call for me. I'm sticking with Jalen Brunson. He's 5'6". He's cheap. He's starting now. He's been productive.
Yeah.
There's no reason to get away from him at the price he is. He's been getting to value every time. And I know, you push the envelope a little bit there, but I think he's proven that he can do it. He's getting run alongside Luka now, and then he still takes over some of the second unit when Luka's out. So he's a top priority for me. I'm thinking about actually a weird play here, but Tim Hardaway, he's a streak shooter. I think he's going to get some opportunities in this game with defensive matchup issues based with Schroeder or whomever they're going to have in there to guard him. So I know he's 6'3" and on DraftKings, which isn't, super cheap, but I think he could be a sneaky guy to drop some good points today. If he can get a few peripheries, that's the key, because he has a tendency to become point dependent. For me, Josh, it's Al Horford. This resurgence of his career is crazy. So, the question is, where does the usage go with Jaylen Brown? Because it's a lot of shots, a lot of usage. Yeah. And I think that some of it will go to Schroeder, some will go to Smart. Tatum, it raises his bar. I think at 9-6, he's going to get Dorian Finney-Smith defense, which is reasonable. But, I'm thinking Tatum is the guy to go to here. I hate to avoid taking him when Jaylen Brown is out, because he is somewhat of a one-man show at times. So as much as I'm tempted with the bigs, Horford or Robert Williams, the problem I have with Robert Williams is he doesn't always close games, and they seem to protect his minutes, and that bugs me. But he is 5'7". So, for me, it's probably going to be 2 guys from the Boston side, Tatum and either Horford or Williams. I'm thinking I may want to save the 2,000 with Robert Williams. Do you think that's a crazy move?
That's kind of what I was looking at. It just depends on how your salary your lineup construction's working for your salary. But I think that could be a good play, especially if he gets more minutes, than he's been getting lately. Right.
And all right, well, we're 3 down, 2 to go. Real quickly, we would love to have you. The weekend's the perfect time to jump aboard. 3-day pass, $10. 5-day pass, $19. Boom, you're in with us. We send you a Discord invite within minutes of you signing up. You're in our Discord. Everything goes on in there. All of our lineups, everything that we go over. We give a really good DraftKings clipboard. We also give full lineups for FanDuel and Yahoo, and just a lot of good information, a lot of good people in our Discord. And certainly you want to jump in with us for all the football tomorrow. We've got John Weehausen, our analytics director, already has all the pro football focus numbers up, statistics and percentages and all the analytics. So, and you will definitely enjoy that aspect of what we offer on the football side. So definitely try us out, dfscoachtalk.com. If you're watching again on YouTube, thumbs up, a subscribe button. Please hit a little comment there so that moves us up on YouTube. Also, hit the little bell in the upper corner there. That'll alert you when any of our podcasts post. And we do 7-day-a-week podcasts in front of the paywall for basketball. We've got 3 for football, and then a golf weekly as well. So come and join us. We'd love to have you. Perfect time on the weekend to dive in. All right, I'm not going to let the times on this broken site here screw me up. I've looked them up already, and they are wrong, so I'm going to make them right. So we have a 10 o'clock Eastern game, and it is very interesting. It's the high number. I think it's a great game to focus on. Even though I like the last game the best, this is the second best. It's Phoenix -5, a 225 over-under. And you get 2 healthy implied totals here. Atlanta 110 and Phoenix 115. So nice little late 2-game after-hour slate too. For the Atlanta Hawks, they're 4-5. Okongwu's out. For the 4-3 Phoenix Suns, Cameron Payne may finally be back. He's probable, but Dario Saric remains out. Statistically speaking, we've got Atlanta 26th in the league in pace. Now, how do you argue that slow with Trae Young at the trigger? I'm not sure, but they are. Phoenix is 10th. They are getting up and down the floor, and like they similar to last year, a little bit quicker than people realize. Defensively, we may be able to take advantage of some things here. That's where Atlanta's struggled and why they're below 500. They're 25th in the league in defensive efficiency. And Phoenix, who was in the top 5 all last season, is 15th. So they're just mid-level defensively. So I think this game has some good diamonds in it. What do you got, Crash?
Yeah, so at the top, of course, you've got Trae Young, who's going to see Chris Paul's defense, so I don't want to go there. My value play for this game is going to be DeAndre Hunter. He's 4,500 on FanDuel, 4,100 on DraftKings. Phoenix is near the bottom against the small forwards, so I do like DeAndre Hunter in this game. If Collins is out, I really like Clint Capella, especially on FanDuel. He's only 6,400. Phoenix is once again towards the bottom against centers. You know, we've talked about DeAndre Ayton quite a bit this year and how he just doesn't look like the same guy. He doesn't look like he's motivated. I think he's even talked a little bit about how he's frustrated in Phoenix. So I think that if Collins is out, especially, I want to play Clint Capella. And then on the Phoenix side, my top play, both Devin Booker and Chris Paul are going to be right up there near the top for me. Chris Paul's 8,100 on FanDuel, 8,400 on DraftKings. He's coming off of back-to-back 50-plus fantasy point games. Atlanta's kind of, near the bottom against guards. So I definitely like Chris Paul. And then Devin Booker. Atlanta has allowed the second most fantasy points to shooting guards. So he's 8,300 on FanDuel, 8,500 on DraftKings. And then you could also look at Jay Crowder and Mikal Bridges. Crowder's 4,500 on FanDuel, 4,800 on DraftKings, and then Bridges is 5,100 on FanDuel, 5,400 on DraftKings. Atlanta's 25th against small forwards. So once again, they struggle against small forwards as well as the guards. So the guards and the small forwards for Phoenix, and then the bigs for Atlanta is where I'm looking.
Yeah, for me, my target here is Devin Booker at 8.5. He's only $100 more than Paul. They don't defend, like you said, shooting guards well. It's a home game. They need this game. It should stay close enough that Book gets full run. I think we can see a really sound game from him. I do like both small forwards. I've touted them both, and I think they're underpriced. DeAndre Hunter is criminally underpriced. 4.1K on DraftKings for him. The way, I get it. He started poorly the first 2-3 games because he had been out last year with an injury, but he's back to his usage numbers. He's back to his efficiency rating. And at 4.1, it just seems like too cheap to me. Mikal Bridges is 5.4 on the other side, which isn't bad. I do respect both of those guys' defense, but they're playing at a higher level, both of them
Yeah.
offensively. So going to consider that duo. Trae Young, again, 9-7 is quite a bit. With definitely Chris Paul, D, and maybe with Campaign coming back, he can be an irritant defensively as well.
Mm-hmm.
So not looking at the bigs on either side, Capella and Ayton. Like you said, Ayton. I think Ayton's problem is very simple. He was the only guy that was due for his rookie upgrade contract, and they couldn't
Yeah.
come to an agreement. So I think that's what is ultimately bothering him and why he's frustrated. Now, he did throw a 21-20 game or some stupidity up last
Mm-hmm.
week, but I guess he's okay in a GPP. But Clint Capella defense is tough, so really don't think you have to go there. Collins, you never know what you're going to get. He's been dinged a little bit. So for me, really, it's probably Hunter on the Atlanta side and Booker Bridges matchup. As far as the bench guys go, just not enough minutes or usage really for me to mention any of these guys, even on a 5-game slate.
Yeah.
All right, we go to the final game. It happens to be my favorite game of the night. It's 10:30 Eastern. It is Portland -4.5, 219.5 over under, 107.5 implied for LA, and a really nice second highest on the board, 112 implied for Portland. So very interesting here. We know LeBron is out, so that brings a few things into play here that we can talk about. But as far as the injuries, Portland's 0 injuries, which is very unusual. Here's the deal with LA. Anthony Davis questionable. I'm not sure that's the case, to be honest with you. I will say this, though. Portland is on a second night of a back-to-back. So they're the only other team involved in a back-to-back. So that is a little interesting there. But Davis, we need the news on, of course. And you can certainly plan for it and plug in, if you want a late swap. But Ariza, Horton Tucker, LeBron James, and then none remain out. So where is all of that going to go? I guess, it's Russ, but we'll touch on that a little bit more. As far as pace goes, this is what makes this game exciting to me. Lakers are second fastest, so Russ does affect speed and pace of a game. Portland is 16th, but they have been speeding up a bit. Neither team is tearing anything up defensively. Lakers a little bit below league, in the middle of the league number at 16, and Portland all the way down to 24. So this game looks juicy to me, Josh. What do you got?
Yeah, I definitely like quite a few plays in this game, starting with, like you mentioned, Russell Westbrook, 9,600 on FanDuel. He's 10-9 on DraftKings. I don't know if I would rather play him or Luka. That would probably be the decision there at that price point. And then Carmelo Anthony, with LeBron out, he's been playing really well. He's only 5,800 on DraftKings, so I really like that price there. Plus, this is a little bit of a revenge game for him, and we've seen him have some pretty big games against teams that he used to play for already, in his career several times. So I do like Carmelo Anthony. Anthony Davis, another big pay-up play here, 10-6 on FanDuel, 10-5 on DraftKings. He's averaged about 47 DraftKings points against Portland in his career. And, was just around that or a little bit above that last year against them. So I would expect him to put up, near 50 again tonight, especially with LeBron being out. And on the Portland side, Damian Lillard is standing out to me. He's 8,600 on FanDuel. He's 9,400 on DraftKings. He's averaged about 52. Last year, he averaged about 52 DraftKings points against the Lakers per game in 3 games. And so I do like him. I also like CJ McCollum. He's only 7,900 on DraftKings. That feels like a little bit of a bargain because of how he's been playing this year. And then for some value plays, you could look at Norman Powell. He's 4,800 on DraftKings. He's 6,100 on FanDuel. So that's a pretty big increase there. And then Robert Covington, 4,300 on FanDuel, 4,100 on DraftKings. So those would be my top plays for each team.
Yeah, for me, it's pretty simple. I think, if Davis sits, then Russell Westbrook becomes the play of the night. I think he's a must.
Mm-hmm.
But I expect Davis, I think, will play.
Yeah.
And if Davis does play, then that flips for me from Russ to Davis. But I do want to have exposure to one of those two guys, because really the rest of the group, yes, Carmelo's come in and given them great offensive punch, but listen to the rest of the guys they're expecting to win with LeBron out. Avery Bradley, Kent Bazemore, DeAndre Jordan, Austin Reeves, Malik Monk,
Mm-hmm.
Rajon Rondo. Those guys can't score enough buckets for one player like a Westbrook or
Yeah.
all combined. So, you come down to this usage factor. I mean, it's all about LeBron, Westbrook, and Davis. We know that. But with one of them out, man, you almost have to play one of these guys. So
Mm-hmm.
we need that news. I'm going to set up my lineup so that if I do have to late swap, I'll initially put Anthony Davis in there, but I'm going to set it up so if I have to late swap and go to Westbrook instead of Davis, I'll be able to do a two-man swap in the 10-10-30 game set. So
Yeah.
I'm hoping we'll have Anthony Davis news before that 10 o'clock other game. So, if we have Atlanta, Phoenix, Lakers, Portland, we have the lineups, and then we should be fine. So, Carmelo, I can consider at 5'8", but he's starting to inch up to where I'm not as excited about him.
Mm-hmm.
I would not start any of those other Lakers if you told me I could roster them for free.
Yeah.
So sorry.
I get that. Yeah.
Yeah. And as far as the Portland side, I think Avery Bradley plays against Damian Lillard, and Bradley can still defend. And at 9.4, it's just enough to get me off of him to go to CJ McCollum. The fact that CJ is sub 8K, he's at 7.9. He's probably going to get some Russ Westbrook defense, which isn't good. And I just think CJ's a better play here. It makes perfect sense. The other guy that I really like a lot is Norman Powell. The fact that he's under 5K, he's a guy that doesn't really leave the stat sheet empty. He'll get rebounds. He'll get a block. He'll get a couple steals. So, he's getting better. He missed the first part of preseason and the season. So I think at sub 5K, he's a really, really good buy. So definitely want, could be a 2v2 here. I could have 4 of my guys from this game. I think it's more of a game that'll be hotly contested, and I expect the main players to get big minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. And I don't know if I mentioned this or not, but the Lakers have allowed the third most fantasy points to point guards this year. So that's another thing I was looking at with Damian. But if he's going to see Avery Bradley, I was thinking just the opposite. I was thinking the Lillard might see Russell Westbrook defense, and that's why I was really leaning towards him. But I could flip that if it's going to be reversed, if you think it's going to be the opposite of that.
I would think that that's the case. I'll let's follow a bunch of coach speak and beat writer stuff, see if we can get those matchups. But, looking back, I believe Bradley's going to probably check Lillard. But we'll see. We got to get confirmation on the lineups. Everything shuffles without Davis in the middle if he's not going to play, but I'm expecting him to play.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Excellent, my man. Anything else that you want to close with or say?
Well, I am excited now that we've put MLB behind us, to focus more on basketball. I've been digging a little bit deeper into the stats and researching a little bit heavier. So I think that's going to be productive and successful for us.
Outstanding. Well, we're excited about it here. We're on a run. We're going to keep that 300 streak alive. So thank you so much for listening in. For my partner in crime here, Mr. Josh Crash Davis, and the entire DFS Coach Talk team, I am Joe Sarvati. You have a great NBA day today, and let's crush it on this NBA main slate.